Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and happy early Halloween. There are 76 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. There's 2 new cases in the Northwest Zone, which is the zone that includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. 742 cases are considered active, 39 of those in the Northwest Zone. Public health investigations are underway to determine the source of transmission for all new cases. 22 people are in hospital, 6 people in intensive care, 41 more people have recovered. A billboard with a political message off Highway 16 outside the eastern edge of Lloydminster is raising some eyebrows. Eric Bay reports.
I think it's really, really bad for the entire community's outlook.
Go back east. That's what a billboard in the RM of Britannia is telling drivers as they near the Alberta border, leaving members of the community disappointed in how the message reflects on Lloydminster.
The language of the billboard itself is just really aggressively negative, and it paints our community in a really bad light. It makes us look kind of ignorant.
The RM of Britannia has confirmed the billboard is on private land within the RM and says it has no ability to enforce what the owner chooses to display, despite the content of the billboard.
There's lots of different opinions across the community, and I think that that's really important. I think it's a little inappropriate for anybody of any opinion to put something up like that, and so knowing that it's outside of my town makes me personally feel very uncomfortable.
Bissonnette says she first became aware of the billboard on Reddit, and it has dragged Lloydminster through the mud online.
Online, people are just making fun of Lloydminster, and we've become kind of a laughing stock, which is pretty disappointing, to be honest. I think it's not a good representation of our community. It's not a good representation of the people here.
The city has responded in a statement through a spokesperson saying the city of Lloydminster is aware of a politically sensitive billboard adjacent to Highway 16 outside the city's eastern boundary. Please note, this billboard is outside the city of Lloydminster's jurisdiction. Both Peterson and Bissonnette feel like the city needs to do more than just make a statement.
Our communities have working relationships with each other. Every municipality has to interact. That's how it works. So to make a statement as a representative from the city and just say it's not our jurisdiction, kind of just leave us alone, sends kind of a weak message, in my opinion.
I think it's a little sad of them to allow something like that to stay up. It's going to hurt our tourism industry. Nobody wants to come here. If there's that veiled threat, if there's that separatist statement that people assume kind of encapsulates the entire town.
Bissonnette hopes those responsible for the billboard reconsider its message and the impact it could have on Lloydminster.
I would just really encourage them to educate themselves and to, consider the fact that there's a lot of people in our community and that we all have different opinions, but we can coexist peacefully and we can have conversations about our ideologies without becoming aggressive towards each other. And I think that's a really important thing for them to know.
Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
The Samaritan's Purse Operation Christmas Child Shoebox program kicked off this week in the border city. Jace Mackey spoke with an organizer to find out more about this year's campaign.
I'm joined today with Ruby Trudell, and we're going to be talking about the Operation Christmas Child program that's going to be happening this year. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today, Ruby.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So my first question is just kind of simply, what is Operation Christmas Child? Can you just take me through the shoebox program?
Operation Christmas Child, the shoeboxes are shoeboxes that are filled with love and with hope and with joy. They're distributed to disadvantaged children around the world. These are children that are in desperate poverty, children that have gone through war or are currently going through war, or who have lived through just disaster. So these are children that are going through life situations that we can't even imagine. Operation Christmas Child works in 12 different countries as contributors: Canada, the United States, Great Britain, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, just to name a few. And there are 102 recipient countries. So these are countries that have approached Operation Christmas Child asking for shoe boxes to be brought into their country because they know the impact that shoe boxes can have on children that are going through such trauma.
So what kind of stuff are in the shoe boxes?
Well, just fantastic items. Always a wow toy. So you can see behind me the teddy bears, and perhaps you can see the soccer ball. Those are items that a child in these situations won't even be able to imagine ever owning on their own. And so that we call those a wow item. And we like to have a wow item in every box. And then perhaps some other toys, cars and things like that for boys, ball, for girls, maybe a skipping rope or a ball, or then some practical things like school supplies, because children in these countries typically don't have school supplies. So like lined paper, pencils, pens, crayons, eraser, sharpener, that type of thing. Hygiene items are very appreciated. A toothbrush, not toothpaste. Kids in third world countries typically don't know what to do with toothpaste, so they might eat it. The countries have asked us not to send those items. So toothbrush, a washcloth, soap, container for the soap. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And other things that people are so inventive. It's just really cool how some men will put in a multi-tool in a boy's box. That kid is going to be the most popular kid in the community because everybody's going to want to use that tool. And when we think about putting ordinary things like soap into a shoebox, soap isn't a big deal for us. But we remember at Operation Christmas Child, a young man who told us that when he got that bar of soap, and it was Irish Spring, so it was really scented, how much he appreciated that and how much it changed his life. He was living in an orphanage with a dozen other boys, and they shared soap.
Wow. So
yeah.
For people in Lloydminster who want to contribute, how can people go about donating or even making a box themselves?
They can either do it in person or online. So at Samaritan's Purse, you can find a pack online button if that's easier for you. I enjoy going to the different stores and finding items. I do that all through the year, actually. And I have a big box that I put these items in throughout the year. The little finds and the little treasures that aren't always available at this time of year. And so what you need is a shoebox. You can either use an actual shoebox or you can use a Samaritan's Purse shoebox. And the shoeboxes are available at Spiro's and at Silverwood Toyota, at the churches, and particularly at Southridge Community Church, because that church is the collection point.
And when is the collection week going to be taking place?
Collection week is November 16th to the 21st. It's always the third week in November. Can I just add one more thing, Jace? I just want to encourage people when they pack their shoe boxes to please take everything out of the packaging. There's a lot of, in our society, something that comes in a package means that it's new and that's special to us. That's not special in the countries that these things are going to. It's just garbage to them. And if we send them plastic, they don't know what to do with that. They end up burning it, and then the fumes from that. And so we don't want to give them something that they can't use. So please remove all of the packaging, and you get to put more stuff in the box that way.
And is there anything else you want to add?
There are some things that you should not put in a box, which might not be completely obvious. We must not put anything that is liquid, and that includes those wonderful balls that when you bounce, they sparkle, because those have liquid in them. And if it goes to a cold country or a really hot country, that alters the chemical compound in that ball, and it turns it into a big gooey mess. The toothpaste I've already covered. No liquids of any kind, like no nail polish or liquid deodorant or perfume or anything like that. Nothing breakable, so no glass, even a mirror. If it's plastic, it's fine, but if it's glass, we wouldn't be able to send it. And no candy. And I know that doesn't sound quite right, but the countries have asked us, please don't send candy, because some families in those countries have little corner kiosks where they sell candy. And if shoe boxes come in full of candy, those kids aren't going to be buying anything from them for several months, and that would put them out of business. So these are requests from the countries that these boxes go to.
Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today. It was great to learn a little bit more about this program and also just let the people in the community know that this is happening this year and that they're able to take part to help change the life of some people around the world.
With Halloween tomorrow, people around the border city have been decorating their homes in the spooky spirit. A few residents have their yards filled with skeletons, tombstones, and more. One family made a lot of their own decorations this year.
But we thought it would be a nice thing to do for kids and families during COVID, right? A lot of things are restricted, but it's something nice you can, well, nice to some people, right? Come and walk along and see and stuff, so thought it would be good.
The creepy sights and sounds continue across the city, with some residents preparing for the spooky season since last year.
This is my Christmas. This is like, I plan and think about this all year long, so I take a week off work every year right before Halloween just to set it up, and I'm out here every day picking things up, moving them around, tweaking the display a little bit.
The City of Lloydminster is holding a Halloween house decorating contest. A full map of houses around the border city is available on the city's Facebook page, and the voting closes Sunday. Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Yes, those are some very well decorated houses there. I don't know if I could get away with taking a week off work to do anything with my very small apartment there. But as we take a look right now, -1 is what the temperature's at right now. Still pretty nice temperatures. We have some fog in the area right now. Kind of fits the mold there, of course, with tomorrow being Halloween, so it kind of fits nicely there. But some more snow and rain mix could be on the way for the evening tonight, around that 5 to 8 o'clock range. We could see a little bit of a break and then it coming back. We'll show that in just a second here. 1 degree out in Vermilion as we look at some other temperatures. 2 degrees in Edmonton with -2 for Lac La Biche, -3 up in Bonnyville and Cold Lake. A little bit warmer down in Provost and Macleod, sitting at 8 and 10 degrees there. 1 degree out in North Battleford right now. And then we see -3 in Meadow Lake and then -5 up in Isle of Cross. So here's what I'm talking about from what I mentioned earlier. There is a lot of rain snow mixes making its way through Edmonton, making its way into Lloydminster. This is from earlier in the afternoon around that 1 o'clock range, but there is an expectancy of us getting some more rain snow around that 5 to 8 o'clock range like I mentioned, and then a little bit of a break, and then there's a chance that we are going to get some flurries overnight tonight. Now as we look at North Battleford, -9 overnight with some flurries going into tomorrow at 1 degree with some cloud coverage there. Cold Lake sitting at -9, kind of similar to North Battleford, so we'll see some snow in this area for most of us here, and also some areas getting a little bit of ice as well up in the Pierceland areas up north there. -10 for us here in Lloydminster overnight with some flurries, and tomorrow a high of 2 degrees for our daytime high, especially for all those kids that are going to go out trick-or-treating for tomorrow. But unfortunately, the warm weather will come the day after Halloween with that high of 9 degrees and a little bit more sun with that high there at a low of -2 to start off the day there. 12 degrees on Monday though, in the double digits for the first time in a while, but we could see that trend continue over the next couple of days, which will show in our 7-day forecast a little bit later in the show. But that's a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
On November 4th, the Lloydminster Interval Home Society plans to open their Thriftmas on 50th store for residents to get into the Christmas spirit. Our Shelby Clark spoke with them to get a preview of what's all involved.
I'm speaking with Krista Mullally with the Lloydminster Interval Home Society. How are you today?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good.
Good.
So the Interval Home Society is announcing their Thriftmas on 50th store. What's going to be all in store for residents?
Well, lots of exciting things. We decided to open a Thriftmas store this year because we're taking a look at all the Christmas donations that we've received over the past 12 months and thought, what better way to profile it and introduce all these wonderful items to the community by opening a new store. So we've got lots of exciting things that are coming out of boxes daily here for you.
And just for people that are wanting to know, what is the location and when will it be open?
The location is, well, in the name, Thriftmas on 50th. So it's 4810 50th Avenue on the west side of 50th. And if you take a drive by before we open next Wednesday at noon, you'll see Christmas paper across all our front windows.
This is only a seasonal store then. When will it officially close?
Yeah, you're correct. So we wanted to do this as just a seasonal pop-up. And so we'll be around until early January.
Okay, and how did this idea come up to do this for Lloydminster residents? Did the Interval Home have help with getting items for the store?
Well, we receive donations 7 days a week, 365 days a year at our flagship store, which is for the Interval. And what we decided this year is we had so much stuff that we really wanted to open a new store and profile this for the community. It's been a tough year. Everybody knows that. And we thought, let's bring some Thriftmas cheer to the residents of Lloydminster.
Now, speaking of COVID-19, has it caused any obstacles with the Interval Home Society for starting up Thriftmas on 50th?
I don't know about obstacles necessarily, but it's certainly changed things. Alongside all of our retail partners throughout the community, we face the same challenges around having people stand 6 feet apart in our store, extra cleaning protocols, and all sorts of things as it relates to receiving donations. We have to quarantine all donations that we receive for a minimum of 72 hours, and it's created some space challenges for sure. We also recognize that when everybody was at home for those number of months, lots of people were cleaning out their closets, their basements, their crawl spaces, and we have been really overwhelmed with the support and the generosity of the donations we've received from our residents.
And will proceeds from all the sales go towards the Interval Home Society from this?
Absolutely. We operate as a social enterprise, which means all of the revenue that is generated through both of our stores is directly reinvested into the programs and services that we provide.
And what are some ways people can help with this store other than shopping there?
We are always looking for volunteers. If anyone is interested in volunteering in a really fun environment, both of our stores really rely on the labor and support and the enthusiasm of volunteers to help in all areas of our stores. So you can apply on our website.
Okay, is there anything else you want to add for residents to know about concerning the store?
Well, we open at noon on Wednesday, next Wednesday, and we are anticipating lots of smiling faces, so come on down and check us out.
Well, thank you so much again for joining us today, Krista. I'm very excited to see how the store looks.
I look forward to seeing you down here.
The man responsible for the Humboldt Broncos bus crash is getting ready to fight to stay in Canada. As Kyle Benning reports, the truck driver wants to avoid deportation after he gets out of prison.
Jaskirat Singh Sidhu is hoping to stay in Canada after he becomes a free man. He and his family have hired a lawyer to represent him when the deportation case is before the CBSA. Sidhu was sentenced to 8 years in prison after pleading guilty to 29 counts of dangerous driving in the crash that killed 16 and injured 13 members of the Humboldt Broncos in April 2018. The permanent resident has been living in Canada for 7 years with his wife, moving from India. Michael Green is representing Sidhu during the hearings and says factors like severity of the crime will be considered.
They also look at a person's criminal history, their propensity to rehabilitate or reoffend. What's their record like in prison? What kind of support network do they have? What do they have going for them?
He adds that Sidhu is fluent in English and immigrated to Canada for economic reasons and not on family sponsorship. The mother of Ryan Strasnitsky, who was injured in the crash, told the Canadian press that she has sympathy for his family but doesn't think he deserves to stay. Scott Thomas forgave Sidhu in court after his son died and has kept in touch with Sidhu's wife. He believes it wouldn't serve any purpose for Sidhu to be deported. Earlier this year, a proposed class action lawsuit was filed against Sidhu in Regina. Kyle Benning, Global News.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
The AJHL is the most recent Canadian Junior Hockey League to announce the start to their 2020 regular season. Evan Kenny has more on the announcement and how other leagues will react.
AJHL fans can mark their calendars for Friday, November 13th as the start date of the 2020 regular season. Now, while things like an AJHL showcase, a season end date, and a playoff format have not been decided, decisions on divisions have been made. Northern teams will stay and play the northern teams, while teams in the south will also face each other. Under Government of Alberta regulations, if divisions want to be changed, either the AJHL would have to be halted for 7 days, or all members of all cohorts would have to test negative.
Of course, we respect what's going on, and we certainly feel for all those who have been affected by COVID in terms of a life sense and the economy sense, but it's such a great game. We've got so many kids that have worked so hard over the summertime, and some of that's been taken away, and this is a real challenge for us to be able to make the very best out of a bad situation. And yeah, we get to play finally, which is fantastic.
The AJHL is not the first league to announce the start of their regular season. Earlier this month, the SJHL announced that they would start their regular season on November 6th. Other leagues as well starting include the MJHL, the SIJHL, the LHJQ, and the MHL. COVID-19 restrictions are still in place. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Continuing to look at temperatures right now, seeing -1 still for us here in Lloydminster. We also see 8 degrees out in Red Deer and Jasper as we look out west. A little bit colder in Edmonton at 2 degrees. -3 up in Athabasca, Cold Lake, and in Meadow Lake as well. Whitecourt's sitting at 1 right now, while 7 degrees in Rocky Mountain House. 5 degrees in Saskatoon with 1 in Melfort, and North Battleford with -2 currently right now in Prince Albert. Now, as we look over into northern Alberta, of course, we see a lot of temperatures getting a little bit colder in Alberta and Saskatchewan, the northern fronts there. La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, La Ronge, Flin Flon, and Southhead all sitting at -5 right now. We also see -6 in Walston Lake and Uranium City, and then Stony Rapids sitting right now at -7. A little bit different numbers here on the northern Alberta side. We see -6s in Fort Chipeway and Fort McMurray, but we see -2 in Peace River right now, with 0 in Grand Prairie, and then -1 for Slave Lake, with -3 right now currently out in High Level. Now, as we look over into southern Alberta and Saskatchewan, we see double-digit temperatures there. We see 12 degrees in Lethbridge and 15 in Medicine Hat, with Calgary sitting at a nice 13 right now. Coronation at 7 and 5 degrees for Banff. And then, of course, we see double digits in Saskatchewan as well. 17 in Kindersley right now. We see 12 in Moose Jaw, and then 11 in Swift Current. 8 degrees in Regina, 4 in Yorkton, and then 7 degrees out in Estevan. Now, as we look across the country, make our way out west this time, 2 degrees in Edmonton. Of course, they could be seeing some more snow and rain mix, kind of similar to what we're going to be seeing in the next little while here today. 12 degrees out in Vancouver, -7 up in Yellowknife, and -5 up in Whitehorse. A little bit of cloud coverage in Regina at 8 degrees, 1 right now in Winnipeg, as well as most of the east coast there. We see 1 in Quebec City, St. John's, Toronto, all with some cloud coverage there, as well as 2 degrees right now out in Halifax and Nova Scotia there. Now, as we look at what we could see for tomorrow, daytime high 2 degrees tomorrow for everyone that's expected to go out Halloweening and trick-or-treating at some of those great houses that we saw earlier into the show. We'll put a lot of great effort into those. 1 degree out in Maidstone, -1 in St. Walburg and Meadow Lake and Green Lake as well. We see 1 degree also in North Battleford, and then 5 in Provost and Macklin as well. 2 up in Marwayne, and then 0s tomorrow for Bonnyville and Cold Lake, along with Pierceland there. 4 out in Vegreville, and 5 degrees out in Edmonton tomorrow. Now here's what we could see over the next couple of days here. We could see a bit of a span here where we could see some warmer temperatures starting on Sunday there with that high of 9 degrees. And then we get into double digits on Monday with that high of 12, and then 11 degrees on Tuesday with a little bit more cloud coverage there. We also have some positive temperatures there as well for the morning as we see 1 and 2 degree daytime lows there for Monday through Wednesday, as well as we go back to a little bit colder temperatures on Thursday, excuse me, with that high of 2 and then a high of -3 this time next week with that low there of -7. But that is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
I'm joined here with Nina Munteanu, and she is an author. Now, you released your novel, A Diary in the Age of Water, this summer, so can you give me a bit of background into this book?
I got started I was actually asked to write a short story on water by my publisher in Rome. And I wanted to write something that was ironic. And Canada, of course, as you know, is full of water. It's a water-rich country. So I wanted to find something that was ironic. So I chose the topic of water scarcity in Canada. And of course, the scarcity is a result of politics and sociopolitics and those kind of things. So out of that came a short story, The Way of Water, with a young girl who is basically dying of thirst in front of a public water device right in front of University of Toronto in Toronto, and the story goes from there. So that begged more on the background and on her limnologist mother, and out of that came this book, The Diary, which is the diary of the limnologist. So the book is essentially chronicles the stories of 4 generations of women, including the limnologist and the daughter whose story was in The Way of Water, and their unique relationship with water. So it's about climate change. Climate change is a water phenomenon.
And now this book really makes readers think, and like you mentioned, about climate change and about other topics. So why did you want to make that one of the main focal points?
Yeah, because, well, I'm very concerned about climate change, for one thing. I'm a scientist. I'm an environmental scientist. I've been doing that for a long time. A limnologist as well, a studier of water. So I'm concerned about what we're doing, human-induced climate change, and how it's affecting the world and life, as well as ourselves directly, but also indirectly through what's going on with the rest of the world, and particularly the natural world, the storms and the extinctions and everything. That a lot of them are connected to climate change itself, but also our own attitudes toward nature, the natural world. And climate change in some ways is like a giant symptom of our disconnect with the natural world and our abuse in some cases and lack of respect for what we're, all the things that we're doing. So my writing, most of my writing is eco-fiction as a result. So it's eco short for ecology or ecosystem fiction that involves the environment, in which the environment actually plays a very important role, a character even. And in my book, the diary book, water is a character in the story. So it might be a subtle character, but water, as you know, we have mostly water in us. We're 70%, if not more, water. And so water through us is this character that comes through.
And as you mentioned earlier, this book features the story of 4 generations of women, and that's not often something that we see in a lot of literature and a lot of things that are out there right now. So what was the inspiration for that?
Well, that's a great question. I guess it was the idea of expanding it to a sort of a saga level, to a greater picture of more people involved. So seeing it in generations is one way of doing it. And of course, as you know too, and we are a product of our families, right? We play out what our past generations are and do, even right down to our DNA. We carry that in our DNA. We carry that in our culture, in our personal culture. So seeing what one character is doing and in relation to what the previous character was and does brings a larger story, larger context, if you will, and more reasoning behind why characters are motivated the way they are.
And now another one of your books, Water Is, was praised by Margaret Atwood. So what did that recognition mean to you?
Oh, everything. Oh my gosh. It's basically a biography on water. Water is. And it describes water from 12 different angles. Joy, motion, life, etc. And brings in all these experts who speak to that. So I knew she would enjoy it. And that was as far as it went. So then Christmas comes along, Christmas Day. I get a note from my friend in Romania, says, congratulations on being in the New York Times. And I'm going, what? So he had seen Margaret Atwood's testimonial in the New York Times as part of the year of reading. Every year they bring in celebrities to talk about their books, the books that they've loved and recommend. And my book, Water Is, was her #1 choice in there. And that's how I found out about it. So that was my Christmas present for that year. Isn't that cool?
That's really awesome. And
Yeah,
if anyone's looking to get the book, or if anyone's looking to get your other book, Water Is, where should they go?
So Water is for sale all over the map. A lot of bookstores, mostly online, Amazon for sure, Barnes and Noble, etc., Kobo. A Diary in the Age of Water, you can even get it from the publisher. And I highly suggest you go to the publisher, Inanna Publications, gorgeous publisher. But you can also buy it elsewhere in all the major bookstores, Chapters, Indigo, Barnes and Noble, and Amazon.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Nina.
Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, for having me. It was a pleasure.
There's plenty of people across the city of Lloydminster that are in the Halloween spirit, and here at Pioneer Lodge, they would love to see the kids in their costume tomorrow afternoon between 2 and 4. So get the kids all decked out. Maybe they're going to be a superhero, maybe they're going to be a ghost, maybe it's a goblin. Whatever they choose to dress up as, Pioneer Lodge would love to see those cool costumes. So you can come by their dining room windows tomorrow between 2 and 4, and they've developed a safe way to hand out some treats as well. So you can trick or treat safely here outside at Pioneer Lodge, and also you can safely trick-or-treat at the Lloydminster and District SPCA. Stop by and see them tomorrow between noon and 5, and it's an opportunity for you to enjoy some safe treats as well. So get those costumes on and head out for some safe trick-or-treating here in Lloydminster. Excuse me, ma'am, did you enjoy your stay at Hotel Transylvania? We're still waiting on a review from her, but thanks to Service Credit Union and May Cinema 6, you got an opportunity to check out Hotel Transylvania for free at May Cinema 6 tomorrow. They've got a number of different matinee times. The doors will open at 1:30 tomorrow. So if you want to check out a movie thanks to Service Credit Union, you can do that at May Cinema 6. Tomorrow is Poppy Day. You'll see members of the Lloydminster Legion out and about taking your donations for the Poppy Fund tomorrow. And Remembrance Day, November the 11th in Clandonald, they're hosting a Remembrance Day supper. You do need to pre-book your plate though, so book that plate today so that you can pick up that great meal coming up on November the 11th. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Well, of course, it's October 30th, not quite Halloween, just the day before Halloween. So once again, I'm joined with Abby St. John for the weekly entertainment panel. Last week, Abby, of course, we talked about, directors that made an impact in both horror, in the horror genre, in both movie and TV. Now we're talking about the movies specifically. I know one movie that, you really enjoy and you've said quite a bit on this panel is Scream. So talk about why people could potentially enjoy this as a go-to Halloween movie come tomorrow.
Yes, I think this is a perfect, even the franchise in general, there's 4 movies currently, but nothing beats the first one. Scream is just a different type of horror movie. It almost pays homage to your classic slashers from Halloween to Friday the 13th. They're really playing on the horror movie genre, and they talk about the horror movie genre within the film. The rules that slasher movies follow, they kind of play part in that, and it's just a different type of horror movie that kind of pays tribute to older ones, but also putting a new twist on it. They're kind of poking fun a little bit at it, but then it's actually really serious within the film. So I think Scream is just, it's different. It's your different type of slasher movie, and I think it kind of reinvented the slasher movie genre as well. Kind of added just something a little bit different, something new than your typical slasher movie. So I would recommend this to everyone. Wes Craven is he was just a phenomenal director, and he really made these movies true and different and newer than the past ones from the 80s and so on. And the cast as well, just amazing. You have Drew Barrymore in the beginning, which is awesome because at the time, even today, she was a big star back then, especially. And then Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, of course, and then David Arquette. 3 very great actors who made it throughout the whole 4 franchise. So they will be in the 5th one, which starts production next week, which is very interesting. And then in the original, you had Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich as well, 2 very talented actors. So Scream is just an amazing movie and franchise, so that's something I would highly recommend for people.
And of course, Wes Craven did a lot of other great horror movies, including the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. But one movie that I know that, of course, like I said, I'm not a huge horror guy, but one movie that I really love was the new It. And of course, there is the old one from the miniseries back in the early 90s there. And of course, either one's good to watch on Halloween there. But the reason I think the new one really appealed to me for someone that's not a horror person was because, it just reached that audience that it's not just for horror fans. It's, people, my buddies that are, hockey guys, they like this movie as well, because there's good comedy, there's good horror sequences, and plus there's things that they couldn't do in the miniseries back in TV that really and also illustrate more points in the actual novel itself.
Yes, for sure. I've seen all 3. I've seen the original 1990 TV series that you just mentioned, and I've seen the new part 1 and 2. And they're very different, but they're also, obviously similar because it is based on the Stephen King novel of the same name. So they're very different, but they still kind of follow the same line. And like you said, with this one, they were able to show more that they couldn't show on television. So there's more blood, there's more gore, there's kind of more horrific scenes in it. And the cast is just phenomenal. Going off on the second part with the adult losers, I don't think they could have made a more perfect cast. This similar look to the kids. And then you have the big names like James McAvoy, who is phenomenal actor, especially with Split, with all the personalities he's played. And then Jessica Chastain was a huge one because from the beginning, everyone was saying Jessica Chastain has to play the adult Beverly. And so that when they actually casted her and got her, I think that was a really huge deal, and it kind of set the course for the rest of the film. And then obviously Bill Hader came in with that comedic aspect that you also mentioned, to play the young Richie. So I think all in all the pieces fit together for the remake of It 1 and 2. And also having Stephen King play a cameo in the second part is a really big deal because Stephen King has gone on record saying he's not the biggest fan of most of the remakes of his, or the movies made from him based off his books. He's not a huge fan of most of them. So having him actually in the movie doing a small little cameo, I think is a huge deal, and it really added to the movie, and it really tied everything together. So definitely recommend the new It Chapter 1 and 2, but I also would recommend the 1991 because that's still a classic, and it's its own standalone movie because it's different from the new one. So I recommend all three, but It Chapter 1 and 2, the new one, I think did a phenomenal job. Andy Muschietti was a phenomenal director. He is a phenomenal director, and he really put those pages from the book to life.
And lastly, Abby, just before we wrap things up here, quickly name just if there's some other movies that you'd recommend on this Halloween night as of tomorrow, I guess. But what are some quick ones just to name off the top here really quickly before we wrap things up that you would recommend?
Few of them, classic Halloween. Obviously, I love watching Halloween on Halloween. So any of those movies, Friday the 13th is also a good one. If you're more into the paranormal, Insidious, The Exorcist, especially like the original Exorcist, and some of those. So you got paranormal and then the slasher, whatever you're into, those movies are great to choose from. If you're more into the less scarier ones, more of the obscure and freaky, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is always a great classic. It's a musical, so if you're really into that. And yeah, so those are some great movies to choose from for the Halloween season.
There's definitely lots, like you said, there to choose from. Of course, Sinister was just named by scientists the scariest movie out there.
Yeah.
Abby St. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. 2 degrees tomorrow for all those kids that are going to go out trick-or-treating. So not great weather, especially as we get into the evening. It might be a little bit colder. But as we get into Sunday, that's when the warmer temperatures are going to start. 9 degrees expected there for the daytime high. 12 degrees on Monday as we see a few days we have of double-digit temperatures. 12 on Monday, as I mentioned there. 11 on Tuesday with some more cloud coverage coming in there. 9 degrees on Wednesday. We also see 2 degrees on Thursday with some of that similar cloud coverage. We start to get a little bit colder, of course, as we get into next Friday with a high, of -3. There is a possibility that we could see some more snow in the evening tonight as well. As of course, we could be seeing it throughout now up until around 8 o'clock. Then overnight tonight as well, we could see some periods of light snow as well.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great weekend.